The rain erased her scream the moment the hand covered her mouth. Jennifer's phone shattered on the pavement as she was dragged backwards, breath crushed, darkness forced over her eyes. The van door slammed, the world moved without her consent. Across the city, Jane Harrington stood in a silent mansion, staring at the door she never walked through. Outside, her scarf lay twisted in the gutter, wet, abandoned. His phone rang once. "You should have hidden your weakness better." Jane closed his eyes. "They took my wife." Rain blurred the streetlights into bleeding halos as Jane Harrington's car skidded to the curb. He was out before the engine cut, suit jacket abandoned in the back seat, shoes hitting wet asphalt hard enough to splash his cuffs. Sirens wailed somewhere far off, close enough to matter, too far to help. The street was empty in that uncanny way that made absence feel loud. Jennifer should have been here. He scanned the block, breath steady, eyes ruthless. The night offered nothing back. No movement, no witnesses leaning from windows, just rain hammering the pavement like a countdown. Then he saw it. A strip of red silk lay twisted in the gutter, plastered to the concrete as if the street had swallowed it and spat it out. He crouched, fingers hovering before touching it. The scarf was soaked, heavy, familiar. When he lifted it, the rain thinned her scent into memory. Clean soap, faint citrus, something warm that anchored him in rooms he owned but never inhabited until she filled them. His jaw locked. A vibration rattled his palm. Blocked number. He didn't answer immediately. He listened to the rain, to the hollowed-out space behind his ribs where certainty used to live. Then he raised the phone. "You're late," a man said, calm as a ledger entry. Jane said nothing. "You should have kept her closer." The line went dead. Across the city, Jennifer's world had reduced to hands and noise. The first grip stole her breath. Fingers clamped over her mouth, rough and sure, and the rain became a roar as her back struck metal. Her heel scraped uselessly. She tasted iron where her lip split. Someone cursed. Someone laughed, soft, pleased. The sound slid under her skin and stayed there. Her phone flew from her hand. The impact cracked it open like bone. She twisted, fought without voice, learned the shape of panic in her lungs. A blow landed low and precise. Air left her in a rush. Darkness followed. Fabric cinched tight, eyelashes pressed down, the blindfold smelling of oil and old sweat. The van door slammed, the engine surged. Jennifer counted breaths she couldn't finish. She anchored to sensation, cold floor under her palms, the sting in her ribs, the way the vehicle lurched as it turned. She refused to give them her scream. She swallowed it whole and let it burn. Jane stood in the rain with the scarf wrapped around his fist. He straightened slowly, shoulders settling into something colder than anger. The house behind him, his house, felt irrelevant now. Marble, glass, security cameras that hadn't seen a damn thing. He looked down the street once more, memorizing angles, exits, shadows. A man learns fast when the rules change. Another siren cut the air, closer this time. Jennifer felt the van slow, felt a hand shove her forward. She braced, muscles screaming, breath rasping through her nose. Somewhere in the dark, she pictured his face, not the one the world feared, but the one she knew in the quiet hours, the one that softened when he touched her wrist, that steadied when she leaned into him. She held that image like a weapon. Jane stepped back to the curb and lifted his face to the rain. It streaked down his temples, blurred his vision, did nothing to cool the clarity setting in. He pulled his phone again, not to call for help, but to open doors he'd promised himself he'd never use. A figure appeared at the end of the block, hesitated, then retreated. Jane clocked it, filed it away. He would come back for every detail. He folded the scarf with care and slid it inside his coat, over his heart. "She's my wife," he said to the empty street. The rain answered. Somewhere, metal rolled over gravel. Somewhere, a woman held on to breath like it was hope. Jane turned toward the dark,
and walked into it. Keep reading. This night doesn't end quietly, and neither does the love they tried to steal. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, tap like and tell me where you're tuning in from. I want to see how far this story travels.
They learned from each other in the margins of the day. Jennifer felt him before she saw him, heat at her back in a hallway, a pause in the air when he entered a room. She never turned too quickly, never smiled first. She kept her hands busy, eyes lowered, the way she'd learned to move through spaces that weren't built for her comfort. But her pulse betrayed her, it always did. A quickening when his voice crossed the room, a steadiness when he said her name like it mattered. Chain watched without staring. He mastered the art of restraint the way he'd mastered markets, by never reaching for what he wanted in public. When she passed him with a cart of folded linen, his fingers hovered an inch from her wrist, a question left unanswered. When she knelt to clean glass near his office door, he shifted his stance to block the view, a silent shield no one noticed. Their glances did the talking. A look held half a second longer than safe, a breath caught then released, a nod that said later without a word. At night, the house belonged to them. The lights dimmed, the cameras looped. Jennifer slipped down the stairs barefoot, heart in her throat, and Chain waited at the landing with his jacket off, sleeves rolled, eyes dark with relief the moment he saw her. He kissed her then, slow, grounding, one hand cradling her jaw, the other splayed warm and sure at her back. She melted into him, palms flat against his chest, feeling the thud of his heart like proof. "Careful," she whispered once, smiling into his mouth. "I am," he murmured back, and it was true. Careful was the only way he knew how to love her. The marriage happened after midnight. No witnesses, no music, just a small room lit by a single lamp, a retired judge who spoke softly and looked away when their hands trembled. Jennifer wore a simple dress she'd pressed herself, ivory against her skin. Chain wore a suit he didn't own any memories in. When they said their vows, they leaned close, foreheads touching, words barely louder than breath. He slid the ring on her finger and covered it with his hand, as if the world might steal it if he let go. Later, in the dark, she traced the lines of his face with careful fingers, learning him by touch. He kissed the inside of her wrist where her pulse jumped, and she laughed quietly, pressing her mouth to his shoulder to keep the sound from escaping. Their kisses were necessary things, anchors. When she curled into him, his arm locked around her waist, possessive without pressure, like a promise he intended to keep. By day, Jennifer returned to the shadows. She worked with a lightness that surprised her, a secret warmth tucked beneath her ribs. When Chain passed her in the hall, he didn't look at her, but his hand brushed the wall near her shoulder, a whisper of contact that sent a shiver down her spine. She caught her reflection in a window once and smiled at nothing, then smoothed her face before anyone could see. Chain carried the conflict like a second spine. Every morning he weighed the urge to claim her openly against the math of danger. He watched men with long memories circle his name. He heard the old judgments sharpen about class, about appearances, about power that must never bend. He could end it with one press release, one photograph. He could also put a target on her back. So he chose silence, and it tasted like ash. At night, when she slept with her cheek on his chest, he stared into the dark and counted exits. He planned, he cut ties quietly, he built walls he hoped she'd never have to touch. When she asked why he looked tired, he kissed her forehead and said nothing. The first sign was small. Jennifer noticed it while polishing the banister, how a man she didn't recognize paused too long near the door, eyes flicking to her hand. She slipped her ring into her pocket before it caught the light. Her smile didn't falter, but her breath did. Chain felt it later in his office when the camera stuttered for a heartbeat, not long enough to raise alarms, just long enough to be intentional. That night, he held her closer. Somewhere beyond the windows, a car idled and then drove on.
The boardroom smelled like polished wood and old victories. Chain took his seat at the head of the table and let the silence stretch. He'd learned long ago that men revealed more when they were uncomfortable. Around him, families settled into their practiced roles, crossed legs, measured smiles, fingers tapping in rhythms that betrayed impatience. The glass wall behind them reflected a city that had been built by his name and would gladly eat it if he stumbled. "Before we begin," Marcus Harrington said, folding his hands, "we need to address instability." Chain didn't look at him. He opened the folder in front of him, scanned figures he already knew by heart. "Instability shows up in numbers," he said. "So far, they're solid." A chair scraped. Someone coughed. "2 contracts frozen this week," another voice added lightly. "Unusual timing." Chain lifted his gaze then, calm, interested. "Frozen doesn't mean broken." "No," Marcus agreed, "but it does mean someone's waiting for you to fall." They spoke in careful language, sentimentality, distraction, optics, words that pretended to be about business while circling something smaller, softer, easier to crush. Chain felt it land like a weight behind his sternum. "And then there's the staff issue," Marcus said, eyes flicking down the table and back. "Optics matter." Chain's jaw tightened once, almost imperceptible. "Which staff issue?" he asked. A pause, the kind that smiled. "The maid, or housekeeper, whatever she is." Chain closed the folder. The room went still. He stood, slow and deliberate, palms braced on the table. "You will speak precisely," he said quietly, "or not at all." Marcus smiled, thin as wire. "We're only concerned about vulnerabilities." Chain leaned in, his voice dropped, then stopped looking from mine. He left before they could pretend victory. By midday, the house felt wrong. Jennifer noticed it in the way conversations cut off when she entered a room, in the way a tray slipped from a hand and shattered, too loud, too final, followed by laughter that didn't reach anyone's eyes. She kept moving, kept working, the rhythm of routine a shield she trusted. Near the service stairs, a folded paper waited in her locker. She stared at it for a long moment before opening it. "Know your place." Her fingers went numb. She folded the note smaller, until it fit between her palm and her ring. She didn't cry. She breathed, in, out, counted the steps to steady herself. She'd learned how to survive rooms like this long before Harrington Estate. Later, she caught sight of a man she didn't recognize near the south wing, watchful, pretending not to watch. When Chain passed through the corridor minutes after, she felt the pull to reach for him, to let the truth spill into his hands like something fragile he'd know how to protect. She didn't. She smiled, she worked, she tucked the note deeper and chose silence. By evening, the attacks sharpened. An ally canceled dinner without explanation. A line of credit stalled just long enough to send a message. Chain cataloged each one, building a map in his head. Someone was coordinating, someone inside. At home, he found Jennifer in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, hair pulled back, humming under her breath. The sound eased him more than it should have. He stepped close, not touching, and felt her shift, subtle, aware. "You're late," she said softly. "Long day." She glanced up, searching his face. He gave her a look that said later, and she nodded, trusting him with the unspoken. When he brushed past, his hand hovered near her elbow, a silent promise. He caught the flicker in her eyes then, fear quickly masked, and it set his nerves on edge. That night, as the house settled, Chain checked the cameras himself. He noticed the blind spot near the south wing, knew. He flagged it, rerouted feeds, made a call that would be answered. In their room, she slipped the note from her pocket and stared at it until the words blurred. Chain was in the shower. The water masked everything. She folded the paper once more and hid it beneath the lining of her bag.
When he came to bed, she curled into him and felt his arm close, solid and warm. She kissed his chest just once, grounding herself in the familiar beat beneath her cheek. "Everything okay?" he asked. She smiled into the dark. "Just tired." Outside, somewhere beyond the gates, a car idled longer than necessary and then drove on. Jennifer closed her eyes and decided what she wouldn't say yet. The throne isn't empty, and silence has a cost.
The house settled into its nighttime quiet the way it always did. Slow, deliberate, like it was choosing peace. Jennifer stood at the sink, rinsing a mug she hadn't finished. Chain watched her from the doorway, the soft kitchen light turning her skin warm, familiar. He crossed the room without sound and slid his hand around her waist. Not urgent, not possessive, just there. She leaned back into him, exhaling. "Thought you were still working," she murmured. "I was," he said, lips brushing the shell of her ear. "Then I wasn't." He turned her gently, as if the moment might bruise if handled wrong. Their kiss began unhurried, his mouth warm, sure, grounding. Jennifer's fingers threaded into his shirt, pulling him closer, kneading the weight of him. The world narrowed to breath and heat and the quiet knock of his heart beneath her palm. When they parted, she rested her forehead against his. "You're tense." Chain smiled, barely. "You feel everything." "I live here," she said softly, "in the quiet." He kissed her again, slower this time, as if memorizing. When his hand slid to the back of her neck, she shivered, not from fear, but from how carefully he held her, the way he always did when he was carrying something heavy. "Promise me something," he said. She pulled back just enough to see his eyes. "Depends." "Stay close, for a while." Her gaze searched his face. "What does a while mean?" He didn't answer. He kissed her temple instead, a gesture that felt like an apology. "I've got you," he said quietly. Jennifer stepped away, just enough to breathe on her own. "You always say that. And you don't believe me?" "I believe you," she said. "I don't believe hiding forever." The words landed between them, honest, unsharp. She reached for his hand and pressed it to her chest. "I love you. I won't live like a secret." Chain's jaw tightened. He pulled her in again, holding her like he could will the world to cooperate. "I'm not asking forever. You're asking without telling me why." Silence stretched, the kind that said, "Not yet." Jennifer nodded once. She didn't push. She kissed him again, soft, necessary, then slipped from his arms and turned off the light. The next day, the looks followed her. Not obvious, not enough to name. A pause in conversation, a man at the gate who checked his watch twice without reason. Jennifer felt it in her shoulders, the way her body stayed ready. When she went to the laundry building, footsteps echoed behind her, too measured, too steady. She turned, no one there. At lunch, she found a car parked across from the estate, dark windows, engine running. It didn't move when she passed. It didn't need to. That night, Chain told her she was going out for milk. He was already on his feet. "I'll come." "I'll be quick." He studied her, eyes sharp. "Now." She smiled, light, practiced. "I won't disappear between the door and the car." His hand found her wrist, firm but gentle. "Jen." She leaned back into him, slow, reassuring, her mouth warm against his. "I know you're protecting me," she whispered. "Let me protect myself too." He exhaled through his nose, a sound of surrender he hated. He let her go with a look that said, "Call me," and a promise he didn't voice. Outside, the night felt alert. The car was still there. Jennifer walked anyway. She kept her pace even, keys ready between her fingers. She didn't look back. She felt it,
the shift behind her, the sense of being measured. She reached her car and slid inside, locking the doors with a decisive click. From the house, Chain watched the taillights pull away. His phone was already in his hand. Keep eyes on the perimeter, now. Across the street, the dark car rolled forward, smooth and patient. Jennifer turned the corner, alone.
The night closed around Jennifer like a held breath. She felt it before it happened, the prickle at the back of her neck, the way the air thickened as she reached for her car door. Her keys slipped once. She caught them. Too late. A shadow detached from the curb. The hand over her mouth was swift, practiced. The world tilted as she was dragged backward, her shoulders slamming into metal. Pain flared white-hot along her ribs. She kicked, connected with something solid, earned a sharp grunt. The smell hit next: oil, rubber, rain-soaked asphalt. Her phone flew from her hand and struck the ground, the screen spiderwebbed, light blinking once, twice. She tried to scream. Sound died in her throat. A blindfold tightened, rough fabric pressing her lashes down. Darkness swallowed the street, the sky, the last familiar shapes. She focused on breath, short, shallow, counted to keep from panicking. The van door slammed, the engine surged. Inside, hands pinned her wrists, a knee pressed into her thigh. Someone muttered, irritated. Someone else laughed, low and pleased. The van lurched forward, and Jennifer's shoulder struck the wall. She bit down hard to keep from crying out, tasted blood, swallowed it back. She thought of Chain's hands, steady, warm, how they anchored her when the world felt too loud. She held on to that memory like a rope. Across the city, Chain waited. He stood at the window, phone pressed to his ear, listening to the ring that never turned into her voice. He checked the clock, checked it again. The house felt wrong, too quiet, like a room after something breaks. He grabbed his keys. The street greeted him with rain and nothing else. No headlights pulling in, no familiar silhouette. His gaze dropped, scanning instinctively, and stopped. Her scarf lay twisted in the gutter, red darkened to rust by water. He crouched, lifted it. The silk was heavy, soaked. He brought it to his face without thinking. Her scent cut through the rain. His phone vibrated. Blocked number. He answered. "You should have listened to your instincts," a man said, voice calm, bored. "You were warned." The call ended. Chain stood there, rain streaking his face, something clean and cold settling into place behind his eyes. He looked down. Her phone lay a few feet away, screen cracked beyond use. He picked it up, thumb hovering where her name would be. No signal, no time. He straightened. Diplomacy ended the moment he pocketed the scarf. Chain moved fast then, calls placed, doors opened that hadn't been used in years. He drove without sirens, without haste, mind narrowing to purpose. He knew who to call first. He knew which deaths still answered his name. In a warehouse near the river, a man begged before the second question was asked. Chain listened. He watched the tremor in his hands, the darting eyes. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He simply waited until the truth spilled out in pieces, locations, routes, a name spoken and swallowed. When the man reached for a phone, Chain stopped him with a look. "No," he said quietly. The blow landed clean, controlled, final. Chain wiped his knuckles on his jacket and turned away. The river swallowed the sound. Somewhere in the dark, Jennifer pressed her forehead to cold concrete and breathed through the pain blooming along her side. The blindfold was gone now. The room smelled like dust and metal. She counted the seconds between footsteps. She kept her hands loose, her mind sharper than fear. She would endure, because he would come. Chain stepped into the rain again, blood cooling on his skin. The city spread before him like a map he knew by heart. He dialed one last number, voice steady as steel. "Lock it down. Every door, every asset, anyone who moves without my say, stop them." A pause, respect edged with fear.
Chain looked up at the sky and spoke to the night. "He took my wife. I'm taking everything back." He chose war. Keep reading.
Chain stopped asking permission. The first man talked after 6 minutes, not because of pain, Chain didn't rush to that, but because of silence. He let the room stretch, let the weight of expectation press down until the man's breath went uneven. Chain stood close enough for the man to smell rain on his throat, close enough to feel watched. "Who hired you?" Chain said, voice level. The man shook his head. Sweat traced a line from his temple to his collar. Chain waited. He checked his watch once, an absent gesture that landed like a threat. "I don't know names," the man said finally. "Just routes, drop points." Chain noted, like that was reasonable. "Then you know who does know names." A door opened behind them. A second man was brought in, this one calmer, eyes sharper. Chain watched recognition flicker between them, quick and damning. He crossed a line then, not with fury, with precision. When it was over, he stepped back, breath steady, and made a call. "Clean it," he said, quiet. Across town, his family felt the shift. Marcus Harrington stared at his phone, jaw tightening as updates came in, accounts frozen without warning, security replaced, meetings canceled by Chain himself. No explanations, no compromise. "He's moving assets we can't touch," Marcus said to the room. "He's cut us out." A cousin laughed, brittle, "For a maid." Marcus didn't smile. He stared at the window, at the city that had always bent. "No," he said, "for leverage." They tried to reach Chain. He didn't answer. Jennifer learned the room by inches. Cold concrete against her palms, a metal chair bolted to the floor, light that hummed, flickering at the edges. She sat with her spine straight, wrists bound, breath measured. She didn't beg, she didn't ask questions that would give them power. Men came and went. One watched her too closely, another avoided her eyes. She counted footsteps, she memorized voices. When they threatened, she looked past them, focused on the idea of Chain's hands, steady, grounding, the way they framed her face before a kiss. Hours blurred. Once, a man leaned close and whispered something cruel. Jennifer closed her eyes and didn't react. Silence was a weapon. She wielded it carefully. When fear crept in, she breathed through it and waited for it to pass. She whispered his name once, barely sound. Chain. Not a plea, a promise. Chain followed threads through the city like veins. He stood in a dim office and watched footage pulled from a private camera, grainy, angled wrong. He saw the van, he saw the route. He paused it at a reflection in a storefront window and leaned in. There, a ring, a crest he recognized. His phone buzzed again, another attempt from his family. He let it ring. He opened a secure folder instead, eyes scanning dates and authorizations. Someone had greased doors that shouldn't open. Someone with access. Someone with his last name. He felt the betrayal settle, not as shock, but as confirmation. In a quiet corridor outside a holding room, Chain finally spoke to Marcus. "You did this," Chain said, flat. Marcus exhaled, slow. "I protected the company. You endangered my wife." Silence. Then, carefully, "She's a liability." Chain smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "So are you." He ended the call and slid the phone into his pocket. The rules that had governed his life, family first, blood before all, fell away cleanly. He had chosen already. In the room where Jennifer waited, a light flickered and steadied. Chain turned toward the exit, purpose sharp enough to cut. The enemy wasn't outside the gates. It was home. Chain stared at the document until the words lost their shape. A single authorization code, old, internal, signed with credentials only 3 people possessed. One of them was family. He leaned back in the chair, jaw tight, breathing slow. Outside the window, the city pulsed, alive, indifferent. He'd built this empire on the belief that blood meant loyalty, that legacy carried weight. He understood now how cleanly that belief could be cut. "They didn't need ransom," his head of security said quietly. They needed leverage. Chain nodded once. They needed my weakness. The room went still. A weakness he'd hidden in shadows, in late nights and closed doors. A woman who folded into his arms like home and worked through daylight like she owed the world nothing. Someone had watched. Someone had decided that if Chain Harrington loved something, it could be used against him. The call came through an encrypted line. Marcus's voice arrived first, measured, almost gentle. "You've destabilized the board. You're bleeding capital." Chain didn't respond. "End this, publicly. Walk away from her. The company recovers, you recover." "And Jennifer?" Chain asked. A pause, just long enough. "She'll be returned, eventually." Chain closed his eyes. He saw Jennifer's smile in the kitchen, the way she leaned into his chest at night, trusting him with her sleep. He opened them again. "No," he said. "You'll lose everything." Chain's voice stayed calm. "I already chose." Across the city, Jennifer tested the edge of the room with her heel. The chair scraped softly, not enough to alert them. She shifted her wrists, careful, feeling for weakness in the ties. Her shoulder throbbed, but pain sharpened her focus. She hadn't cried, she hadn't screamed. She saved her strength for moments that mattered. When a guard came in with water, she took it with steady hands. She met his eyes, held them just long enough to make him look away. When he left, she tipped the cup and watched it spill, marking the floor. She counted seconds again. She breathed. She whispered Chain's name once more, barely sound. In a control room miles away, a technician looked up. "We've got bleed-through on a line. Old switchboard, not stable." Chain was already moving. "Patch me in," he said. The connection crackled. Static swallowed the edges. Then breath, familiar, uneven. "Jennifer," he said. Silence. Then a whisper threaded with steel. "I'm here." His chest tightened. He kept his voice low, steady. "I've got you." "I know," she said. A pause. "Listen. They change guards every 12 minutes. The one with the scar avoids eye contact." He closed his eyes for half a second, absorbing every word. "You're doing great." Her breath caught, then steadied. "Don't trade yourself for me." A smile ghosted his mouth. "I don't trade." "Chain." Static surged. The line warped. He leaned in, voice urgent but controlled. "I love." The connection died. Chain straightened. The room seemed to tilt, then settle. "They're moving her," security said. "We caught a van on a camera, south route, old industrial strip." Chain grabbed his coat. "Barely is enough." He drove without sirens, city lights streaking past, mind locked on details, timing, exits, blind spots. He felt the cost ticking upward with every mile, shares dropping, allies defecting, doors closing behind him. He didn't slow. At a deserted intersection, his phone buzzed again. Marcus, persistent. "This ends now. Choose." Chain cut the call and turned the wheel hard. Ahead, a warehouse bled light through cracked panes. A van idled, engine low, impatient. Chain stopped a block away, stepped out into the night, rain slicking the pavement. He pulled the scarf from his coat pocket, wrapped it once around his fist, and moved. He was close. Too close to turn back. Blood broke first. Rain turned the industrial strip into a smear of light and shadow. Chain moved through it without hurry, coat darkened, breath even. The warehouse bled a weak glow through cracked panes, rain rattling the metal skin like impatient fingers. He lifted a hand once. His team fanned out, silent, disciplined. Men who knew the sound of rain could hide a lot of sins. Inside, a door creaked. Chain slipped through first. The smell hit him. Oil, damp concrete, old electricity. A shape moved at the far end. A gun barked. The sound tore through the building and shattered into echoes. Chain dove, rolled, and came up behind a column. He returned fire, controlled, precise. Someone shouted, someone fell. Chaos bloomed. Jennifer heard it before she saw anything. The sharp crack of a gunshot, then another. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She forced herself to stay still, spine straight, wrists burning where the ties cut.
She tasted copper and rain dust and fear she refused to let take over. Footsteps thundered, a door slammed, light flared, then died. "Down!" someone yelled. Another shot, metal screamed. Chain moved room to room like he'd been built for this, shoulders low, eyes sharp, body remembering an old language he'd hoped to forget. A figure lunged from the dark. Chain pivoted, struck, disarmed. The man crumpled with a grunt. Chain didn't look back. He followed the sound of her breathing. He found her in a side room, half lit, bound to a chair bolted to the floor. For a split second, he didn't move. The sight hit him clean and brutal. Her hair loose, cheek bruised, eyes lifted toward the door like she'd known he'd come. Their gazes locked. Everything else fell away. "Chain," she breathed. He crossed the room in 2 strides and dropped to his knees in front of her, hands already working the knots, fingers steady despite the tremor in his chest. "I'm here," he said. His voice broke on the word, and he didn't bother to hide it. A shout cut the air behind them. Chain twisted, raised his arm, fired once. The echo ricocheted. Silence rushed back in. Jennifer sagged forward when the ties gave. He caught her, pulled her against him, arms locking around him like a vow he intended to keep. She shook, shock, pain, relief, fists clutching his coat as if he might vanish if she let go. "I knew you would," she whispered into his shoulder. He pressed his mouth to her hair, breathed her in like oxygen. "I'm sorry," he said, "for all of it." She pulled back just enough to see his face. Rain streaked down his temples through a broken window, eyes bright and fierce. "Don't," she said, "just don't leave me." A door banged. Footsteps retreated. Chain's calm crackled. Someone was running. "Go," Chain said into the mic. "Do not let him disappear." A pause. Then, "We're losing him." Chain looked down at Jennifer. She was pale, trembling, alive. He made the choice without ceremony. "Pull back, secure exits, medical, now." Static, protest. He cut it off. He lifted Jennifer carefully, one arm under her knees, the other braced at her back. She curled into him, face against his neck, breath hitching with each step. Outside, rain soaked them both, cool and relentless. Cameras flashed at the end of the block. Chain saw them and didn't turn away. He carried her straight into the light. By morning, the cost arrived. Markets opened ugly, headlines sharpened. A board statement leaked. Chain Harrington had authorized a private operation without approval. Assets frozen, votes called, the word reckless repeated like a drumbeat. Chain didn't read any of it. In a quiet room, he sat beside a hospital bed and watched Jennifer sleep. He held her hand, thumb tracing slow circles over her knuckles. When she stirred, he leaned in, kissed her gently, grounding them both. "I should tell you," he began. She opened her eyes, found his, and smiled faintly. "I know," she said. "You love me." He swallowed. "I love you." It landed between them, simple, irrevocable. Somewhere, far from the cameras and the rain, a man slipped into a car and drove. He left behind a warehouse and a war that wasn't finished. Chain felt it like a shadow passing. Love had a cost. He paid it. And the bill wasn't done yet.
The room smelled like antiseptic and rain-damp clothes. Jennifer woke to the steady beep of a monitor and the weight of Chain's hand around hers, not gripping, just there, anchoring. She tested her breath first, slow, careful, then opened her eyes. He was seated beside the bed, jacket gone, shirt wrinkled, a faint bruise blooming along his jaw he hadn't bothered to treat. His head was bowed, eyes closed, thumb moving in a small, constant circle over her knuckles like a habit he didn't know how to stop. She squeezed his hand. Chain looked up instantly. "You're here," he said, the words rough like he'd been holding them back. She smiled, tired but real. "I was hoping you'd be." He leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers, exhaling like his lungs finally remembered how. "I'm not going anywhere." For a while, they said nothing. The silence wasn't empty, it was full, of what had almost happened, of what still could. Jennifer watched the way his shoulders stayed tense, like he was braced for another hit. She traced the back of his hand with her thumb, grounding him the way he'd grounded her 1,000 times before. "They'll come for you," she said softly. He nodded. "They already are." She turned her head toward the window. Dawn was breaking in thin bands of gray and gold. "And us?" Chain followed her gaze. "It depends on what you want." She looked back at him then, really looked. The man who had crossed lines for her, burned bridges, chosen her when every voice in his world told him not to. Love sat between them, fragile, fierce, real. "I don't want to be hidden anymore," she said. Not accusing, just honest. "I don't want to be used against you again." He absorbed it without flinching. "I lost votes overnight," he said. "They'll try to remove me, freeze me out, maybe succeed." "And you're okay with that?" Chain's mouth curved, faint and tired. "I'm not okay with losing you." She reached for his face, careful of the bruise, and kissed him, slow, grounding, a reminder that they were still here. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright with questions she was afraid to ask. "What happens if they win?" she said. "Then we rebuild, somewhere quieter, somewhere safer." She searched his face for regret and didn't find it. What she found was resolve, tempered, costly, real. It scared her and steadied her all at once. They moved her to a safe house by nightfall. No signs, no names, just a clean room with thick curtains and a kettle that whistled too loud. Jennifer sat wrapped in a blanket on the couch while Chain poured tea, his movements precise, controlled, like the chaos outside couldn't touch them if he moved carefully enough. He brought the mug to her, knelt in front of her, and pressed his forehead to her knee. "I'm sorry," he said again, quieter this time, "for asking you to be brave alone." She set the mug aside and pulled him up to her, arms around his shoulders. "I wasn't alone," she whispered. "I felt you, even when I couldn't see you." They stayed like that, breathing each other in, learning the new shape of safety. Later, when she slept, Chain stood by the window and made calls he'd been avoiding. He listened to threats dressed up as concern, to ultimatums softened by history. He didn't argue, he didn't negotiate, he accepted. When he ended the last call, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. A message, no greeting. "You saved her. Now watch your back." Chain deleted it without reply. He returned to the couch and sat beside Jennifer, watching the rise and fall of her chest. He brushed a kiss over her hair and let his eyes close for the first time since the rain. Outside, a car passed too slowly. Chain opened his eyes. The fire was over. The smoke wasn't. The quiet never lasts.
The house was quiet in the way only borrowed places ever were. Jennifer woke before dawn, the safe house wrapped in that pale, uncertain light that made everything feel temporary. Chain slept on the couch across from her, one arm thrown over his eyes, breath slow but guarded, like even rest had learned caution. She rose carefully, ribs aching in a dull, manageable way. The kettle sat where it had the night before. She filled it, moved softly, refusing to let fear announce itself. The knock came anyway. Not loud, not urgent, certain. Jennifer froze. Chain was on his feet instantly, awake in a way that said he never truly slept. He caught her eye, one finger lifting. Wait. He crossed the room without sound and checked the feed on his phone. No alerts, no alarms, just the front camera. A woman stood outside. Mid-50s, elegant coat, perfect posture, familiar eyes. Chain's jaw tightened. Jennifer felt it before he spoke, that subtle shift in the room, the way truth leaned closer. "I know her," Chain said quietly. "Stay here." But Jennifer was already moving, not recklessly, deliberately. "I'm tired of doors closing without me," she said. He searched her face, saw resolve instead of fear, and nodded once. He opened the door. The woman smiled like she owned the morning.
Jennifer Moore, she said, gaze sliding past Chain and settling on her with measured interest. I've wanted to meet you. Jennifer felt the weight of the name land. Not housekeeper, not maid, her name spoken cleanly, precisely. And you are? Jennifer asked. The woman's eyes flicked to Chain. Something old and sharp passed between them. Evelyn Harrington, Chain's mother's sister. Chain's voice was flat. You're not welcome here. Evelyn's smile thinned. That's unfortunate, because this involves both of you. She held out an envelope. Jennifer took it. Inside wasn't a threat, no ransom, no warning, just copies, marriage records, dates, signatures, their signatures. Photos, grainy but unmistakable, a hand at Jennifer's waist, a kiss caught at the edge of night, a ring glinting briefly before being hidden again. Evelyn watched Jennifer read, eyes bright with calculation. Relax, she said. If I wanted the press, you'd already be trending. Jennifer folded the papers carefully. Then what do you want? To correct a misunderstanding, Evelyn replied. Everyone thinks your value lies in how much you mean to him. Chain stepped forward. Enough. Evelyn raised a hand. I'm not your enemy, I'm your historian. She turned back to Jennifer. You see, this family has survived for generations by removing distractions. Lovers, wives, children, anything that made the heir human. Jennifer's grip tightened on the envelope. You ordered the kidnapping. No, Evelyn said calmly. That was Marcus. He's always been crude. Chain's eyes went dark. You knew. I allowed it, Evelyn corrected. There's a difference. Jennifer felt the cold settle. Not fear, not shock, clarity. And now? Jennifer asked. Now, Evelyn said, I'm here to offer you protection. Chain laughed once, humorless. From you? Evelyn didn't look at him. From what comes next. She leaned closer to Jennifer, voice lowering. The marriage isn't the secret that matters. Jennifer met her gaze, unflinching. You think they're afraid because you're loved. They're afraid because of who you are. Jennifer's breath stuttered. What does that mean? Chain demanded. Evelyn straightened, already retreating. Ask your mother, she said to Jennifer, if she's still alive. The door closed softly behind her. Silence rushed in. Jennifer stood very still, heart pounding, not with terror, but recognition. Pieces shifted. Childhood memories surfaced uninvited, questions she'd never thought to ask. Chain reached for her. She didn't pull away, but she didn't lean in either. They know, she said slowly, but not the way we thought. Chain searched her face. What aren't you telling me? Jennifer looked down at the envelope, at the proof of a love meant to stay hidden, and realized it had never been about secrecy. It had been about blood. Outside, a car idled. Somewhere far away, a plan adjusted. Jennifer lifted her gaze to Chain, voice steady beneath the tremor. They didn't take me because I'm your wife, she said. She swallowed. They took me because of who I was before I ever met you. Some loves start wars, but some names were born to finish them. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want a part 2. End of part 1. Type continue if you want part 2.